The new D850 is a culmination of a number of different cameras. It will essentially become the premier high megapixel, high speed camera from Nikon. This is a camera that most people expected us to increase the resolution of the D810 successor, but I don't think anybody really expected the sort of speed that this camera delivers, which is quite a combination. To be able to have 45.7 megapixels plus 7 frames per second in the body, just as you see it here, but you can add a battery pack to the bottom and a different battery that will give you up to 9 frames per second at full resolution with full autofocus, full exposure systems, and everything else. One of the other things that I think people are really going to appreciate is the fact that with this full frame BSI CMOS sensor, we're actually using the full width of the sensor to record 4K UHD video. We've also added up to 120 frames per second at full HD to the movie selection also. And now also because we've been able to leverage the newly designed shutter system, we've improved the interval timer and the in-camera 4K time-lapse capabilities of this camera by making every subsequent shot after the initial shot done with an electronic shutter. So it saves a tremendous amount on camera wear and tear and on battery power overall. This does take one single EL15 battery, which many people are familiar with. This is a battery that is used in a number of our cameras, which is interchangeable with other EL15 batteries. But with the battery pack, it gives it an additional grip, it gives it additional speed, it makes it a little easier to hold on to. Of course, we still have our 3.2-inch articulated LCD screen on the back of the camera. We've built in a lot of really unique features also, like for instance we have a new focus shift feature which will allow you to take a series of pictures automatically of a subject for focus stacking after the fact. So you can bring those photographs into a stacking software and actually create a great deal of depth of field in a shot. We also have a negative digitizer mode, which will allow you to copy black and white and color negatives, which will turn them into positives in the camera. That can also be done with an accessory called an ES2 that we'll be delivering soon. The camera, it feels good in the hand. The ergonomics are a little different than the D810, but this is a camera that literally anybody who is interested in high resolution as well as high frame rate can take advantage of. And like all of our full frame cameras, of course, this can be cropped down to a DX size sensor, which actually, and we have 3 different sizes of RAW files too. So if that 45 megapixels seems like a really large file, there are a number of ways that you can actually use the menu in the camera to reduce the size of those files as well. We've got a brand new viewfinder system in this camera with a really bright view. We've removed the flash, which makes it a little more durable in terms of its weatherproofness. This can withstand quite a bit of abuse, and it's built to take it. Obviously all the connections, headphone jack, microphone jack, HDMI, and USB are all here on the side of the camera, where they're located right underneath these doors. And on the card memory slot side of the camera, we've got one SD card and one XQD card. So those are basically the highlights. I would invite your viewers to actually go on and check out this camera on NikonUSA.com for more details. I think it's really for, you know, it was kind of reserved for commercial wedding portrait type photography, but now with the additional speed, I think we're gonna garner a lot of interest from people who would normally shoot action, who can now take advantage of having a much higher resolution camera. So I don't think it's just for commercial fine art use anymore. I think that this camera, because of its versatility, now will find its way into just about anybody's kit bag, whether they be a photojournalist, a sports and action photographer, or a fine art photographer, commercial wedding portrait type person. I hate to say that this is a perfect camera for just about anybody, but if someone is needing high resolution and high speed, Nikon D850. Well, for a lot of the reasons that I mentioned before, we've incorporated features into this camera that have not been incorporated in cameras before, which adds to the sort of collection of great features which can make you more creative. It gives more of a creative outlet. To be able to use focus stacking to accomplish great depth of field in a photograph used to be a fairly laborious process. Now it's a completely automatic process. Even digitizing negatives. There aren't that many people who have been using a camera to scan their old film images, and now with very little in the way of accessories, a person can actually use this camera as a scanner. So I think we've reached a level of versatility that makes this a compelling offer for just about anybody who's interested in photography at a high level.